All right, I forgot to record doing this. Bring you up to speed. I took the sea spray, 1 part sea spray to 1 part, I actually used the caviar, excuse me, so the black, and I pounced it on this. This was like a hunter green, which was like popular back in the 90s. And this needed, well, there you can see the green. So I put this on the whole outside, including the drawer, and then I sanded the poly off of this and the top, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the vintage duck egg over top of this. And I want to use the Colonial Black No Pain Gel Stain on the top and on this. So that's where I'm at right now. Get you up to speed. But you see how that sea salt gives texture? See those peaks and mounds? Now they'll peek through that vintage duck egg, which will really look nice. And I think what I'm going to do is, when I do these spindles with the vintage duck egg, I think I'm going to put like some black wax in the crevices to enhance that, just in the crevices. So the textured caviar, the black caviar with the sea salt, is dry. You see how it leaves humps. That's what gives you more of the aged look. So now I'm going to take the vintage duck egg and I'm going to paint the whole thing. All the black I'm going to paint with the vintage duck egg. I'm going to leave that and that because I want to use the espresso on that. So now I'll get painting this. Okay, the next step I'm going to do now, I already painted the vintage duck egg over top of the sea spray salt underneath the textured with black. And then when I sand it, this is 150 grit, when I sand it, it'll bring out the peaks of the black underneath. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see the texture there. So that will pop out of the vintage duck egg, but that's my next step. Okay, so I did the sanding. I sanded, I emphasized more on the edges where you would have more distress. And you can see where the black came through, where I took the black paint, mixed with the sea spray, equal part sea spray, equal part paint, and put that on the underneath coat. Now when you see, like, you see where wood came through, where I got a little carried away with the sander, that's fine, because that will absorb the black wax, so it'll still look fine. Don't get alarmed with that. So now I'm going to take the black wax and I'm going to brush it on and wipe it off, but I want to leave it in the crevices, like right here, here, any crevice. I want to leave it laying. So when I'm doing the waxing, you can see how I put it on, and then I'm going to go in and just wipe it away. And this is the black wax. And when I wipe it away, I want the center, this centerpiece all the way around, to be the lightest, the lightest spot. But I want this black wax to lay like in this area, all these. So I'm going to wipe off the black wax that I just applied and see how it's doing where you want this light. So you emphasize on the center, wiping off, but you want to leave all the edges darker, as where natural dirt would accumulate to make it look more rustic, primitive, distressed. See that? So I'm going to keep going doing that with the black wax to this whole piece. Okay, so I have all the black wax on and wiped down. And like I said, I left it lay like in crevices, like in this crevice. I left it so it's where natural dirt would accumulate on a piece. So I did that. It's all done. Now my next step, I'm going to take with this shelf and the top, and I'm going to use the No Pain Gel Stain Colonial Black. I'm going to use that on those pieces. And of course, I have to add the knobs. I'm going to do the knobs in black. I think they were a brass, but I'm just going to take black chalk paint and go over top of them and have them put back on. So that's the next step. So I sanded the shelf and the top, so it's down to the bare wood, and I'm gonna add the Colonial Black. No Pain Gel Stain. This is the only product that Dixie Belle carries that is not water cleanup, water soluble. So I use it in a ventilated area, outside preferably. And I'm using an old chippy brush, which obviously you can see has been used before. So I'm going to put a layer on here of the Colonial Black, because I want it to be really, really, really dark. The top and the shelf. But I'm going to leave this set on there for a while, because the longer you leave it set on there and the wood draws it in and sucks it up, the darker it'll be. And I want that to be really dark on the top and the shelf. So I will put a coat on both of them and leave it sit for a while. 10 minutes, I guess. I'll let it sit before I wipe it down. As you can see, like it's drying some spots. So now I'm going to go and wipe it down. And I just use old t-shirts, anything like cotton rags. And wipe it back. I did one coat on both the top and the shelf. So, and I like how you see how you get the more definition, like spots where it is darker than other. I like that look. It makes it look more organic, more natural. So I'll just keep wiping this down. And then I think what I'm going to do, being it's a nightstand, table, end stand, whatever, it's probably going to see a lot of use on the top. I think I might top it with gator hide to give it like a nice protective coating. Alright, so I'm going to finish wiping all this back, getting it cleaned off. Alright, so this one is done. I'm ready to take it into Buggytown Mercantile in Mifflinburg. And this was the tutorial on the sea spray, the textured sea spray. I mixed it with black paint, stippled it on there, then put a coat of vintage duck egg. Then I did some sanding to bring out the peaks of the textured paint underneath. I brought that out. And then I did black wax. Then I used the No Pain Gel Stain Espresso Black on the shelf and the top. I was going to put a gator hide on it, but I like the satiny look. It's not too shiny. It's not too dull. So I'm going to keep it just like that. I'm not going to do the gator hide on there. So that's finished.